Past the quarter mark into the 2023 NFL season. This is Past the Rock.
Could one of y'all pass the gosh darn rock? Hey, yo, I'm trying, I ain't lying, and hosting this will be Brian. Yeah. Posting like Kobe Bryant, yeah. Flying to see the pie. Yeah. Hit the hezzy, we got Jesse, opinions get kinda messy. A fan of out of lefties, from football to racing jet skis. He goes silly when he go deep, sheesh, is Zach Zeman. Teaming up with Jack, we stack the whole team, man. Pass the rock, don't stop the shot clock. Ooh. Smack the slap shot, come on, now let's talk. Pass the, yo, partner, pass the rock, for real.
Jack, how are you doing on this beautiful Wednesday morning?
Oh, I'm doing great. Gotta love a good fantasy show on a Wednesday morning. Great way to start my day. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. Who did you pick up this morning off your waiver wire? Let's start there.
The one guy that I got that I think is one of the only guys worth getting is Jaleel McLaughlin. And I was really happy that I got him in one of my leagues. I had Khalil Herbert on the wire in that league too, and I wanted him more. But McLaughlin was my second choice. I ended up with him, and I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, I was looking at McLaughlin, but honestly, I took a look in the mirror and said, I don't know if I want a piece of the Broncos week in, week out. So I went with Michael Wilson, and I know that he's on the Cardinals, but Cardinals have looked surprisingly good this year. And I also have Marquise Brown. He almost didn't play last week, so I figure if he goes down, Michael Wilson's only going to get better. So moving forward, and it's full PPR, so, got to go with the wide receivers there.
Yeah.
Let's start her off. Let's get right into it. Mensch or bench? Who would you rather start? Puka Nacua versus the Eagles, Jalen Waddle versus the Giants, or Chris Olave at the Patriots?
Man, that's a good one. I think I'm going to lean Jalen Waddle. I think I'm going to bet on this being the breakout game for him. It feels like he's due. It's been a little rough to start this year. It's going to happen, and an easy matchup against the Giants feels like a good place for it. I love Puka. He's been awesome, but Cooper Kupp could be back this week. So that is a little bit of a concern. And Olave is just, anytime you go against New England, it's going to be a difficult matchup. So I'll bet on the breakout week from Waddle.
Yeah, and Christian Gonzalez is out for the year, but they traded for J.C. Jackson, bringing back the all-pro corner. He looked like a horrible corner when he was on the Chargers, and I hope that Bill Belichick can get back to using him in the way that we know that he can. I'm still going to roll with Puka Nacua. I'm going to ride it till the wheels fall off. I know that Cooper Kupp's coming back, but also maybe he gets more of the defensive attention, and that still opens things up for him. And, I mean, Matt Stafford's thrown the ball to him 50 times in 4 weeks. I don't think he's going to stop anytime soon. Let's move on. Who would you rather start? Garrett Wilson at Denver, DJ Moore at Washington, or Marquise Brown versus the Bengals?
Dare I say Hollywood Brown? He's been really, really good this year. I mean, I remember maybe a couple weeks ago we were talking about Hollywood Brown, and I think Brian mentioned that he was a guy that he wanted to cut. And basically ever since then, Hollywood's been awesome.
So he took it personally.
Yeah, it was seriously. Hollywood took that personally. So I think I'm going to roll with him. Cincinnati's defense hasn't been great this year, so it's a decent matchup. I'm never going to trust DJ Moore. I know he had a great week last week, but as long as Justin Fields is throwing him the ball, I can't really trust him. And I love me some Garrett Wilson, but a matchup against Pat Surtain and Zach Wilson at quarterback isn't great.
Yeah, I think I'm going to roll with Garrett Wilson, surprisingly. Garrett Wilson hasn't had a great season yet, but it looks like Zach Wilson might have found his swagger last week, and I think that they're building him up with some confidence. They're letting him actually throw the ball past the yard marker. So I think this is the week that Zach Wilson really shows us what he's made of, and I think that the New York Jets go into Denver and come out with a win. So I think that Garrett Wilson, this is the week that you start him. I agree. DJ Moore, I'm iffy on going against the Commanders on Thursday night. I think I think I'm personally going to bench him there. Marquise Brown has been amazing so far, and I think that he should do just fine in that game, but I think Garrett Wilson has a slightly higher ceiling. All right, let's get on to the running backs. Brian Robinson versus the Bears, Travis Etienne at Buffalo, or Alvin Kamara at New England?
Well, anyone versus the Bears is always going to be a solid bet. So B-Rob is definitely a solid option. I don't love the matchup for Etienne, but I think I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara because last week that man had 13 catches. I don't care what other statistics he's putting up. If this man is going to catch the ball 13 times in a game, you have to be starting him. And even if it's not 13, even if he catches like half of that, gets 7 receptions, that's still outstanding for PPR. So I think Alvin Kamara at this point is a guy that has to be in your lineup no matter what until proven otherwise.
Yeah, I think part of that has to do with Derek Carr's shoulder injury last week and them checking down the ball a lot. But I think that they're going to continue to check down a lot. And I'm absolutely going with Alvin Kamara too here. I think New England's got a great secondary. They're going to have to work the short field. And Alvin Kamara, PPR, half PPR, no PPR, he's still going to get a lot of points. So I'm going to roll with Alvin Kamara, especially because Jamal Williams is still on the shelf. And, the receivers haven't been looking that special anyway. Another running back round. James Cook versus the Jaguars, Isaiah Pacheco at the Vikings, or James Conner versus the Bengals.
Ooh. I love what I've seen from James Cook this year. That's a possibility, but I feel like the stats always get wonky in those London games. So I kind of want to stay away from that if I can help it. Not a big Pacheco guy. I think I'll go with James Conner. The Bengals defense, like I said, good, not excellent. And James Conner is one of those guys that it's never going to look pretty when you're watching him. You're going to watch him and think he's a 3-point game, and then you check your fantasy app and he's 15. But like he gets the points somehow, and I think that's the kind of guy that you want in your lineup. So I'll take Conner.
Yeah, this past week was James Conner's first game under double digits. He had 6 points, but still 50 yards on the ground. And, it was against the Niners, who are probably the best defense in the NFL, maybe outside of the Cowboys. I think it's a good matchup this week. The Bengals are not anything special on defense as well. So I'm also going to go with James Conner here. I'm not a huge fan of the Jags, the London game either. And Isaiah Pacheco has looked really good too, but I don't want to bet on him week in and week out to get the type of volume he had against the Jets and against the Bears he's had the last 2 weeks. So I'm going to roll with James Conner as well. All right, quarterback round. Brock Purdy versus Dallas. Dak Prescott versus the Niners, or Matt Stafford versus the Eagles, all facing top 3 defenses in the league.
Yeah, those are all rough. I'm definitely fading Dak. There's no way I'm starting Dak against the Niners. Purdy's been really good this year. Obviously, he has an insane weaponry around him, but going against Dallas is brutal. I think I'm going to lean Stafford. I think the Eagles' defense is the easiest of those 3, which isn't saying much because the Eagles also have an outstanding defense. But Stafford's been really good this year. Obviously, he's got Puka. Potentially Cooper Kupp back would be huge for Stafford this week. And I think he's got the best matchup of the 3, so I'll take him.
I hate that we keep agreeing. Matt Stafford has a great matchup here, but, for the sake of the content, I'm going to go with Brock Purdy versus Dallas. And I just think Matt Stafford does have a good matchup, but, he hasn't been great week in and week out. He hasn't scored over 16 fantasy points in any game this year. Dak Prescott just absolutely sucks, and I'm not starting him. Even if he was facing the Bears, I'm not starting him.
Well, I don't know if I would go that far. I think you start any quarterback facing the Bears.
All right, fair enough. But I'm going to go Brock Purdy versus Dallas, mainly because he's got the best weapons on his team. And I think that the Niners have always played Dallas well. So I'm going to go Brock Purdy. All right, on to the tight ends. Kyle Pitts versus Houston. Jake Ferguson at San Francisco, or Cole Kmet at Washington. Is this Kyle Pitts finally the week that you're going to start him?
This is the biggest Kyle Pitts trap ever because you see, he's playing the Texans. This is the week. I'm starting Kyle Pitts. It's gonna bite you. Don't do it. I'm going with my boy Jake Ferguson on Wisconsin. He's been awesome this year. He's been super consistent. Clearly a guy that Dak likes a lot in that offense, and he seems to just taking over the Dalton Schultz role, which Dalton Schultz has always been a reliable fantasy option while he was in Dallas. I think Ferguson can literally just be that, a solid mid-tier tight end 1. And I think there's no reason not to start him.
At this point, I think I'm going off the board here, and I'm taking Jonnu Smith at Houston because he's the one who's going to get the looks. He had 95 yards last week in London, and against Houston is a great matchup. But we know it's not going to be Kyle Pitts getting the ball. So Jonnu Smith, and if not, I'll go Cole Kmet at Washington. He had a great game last week, 2 touchdowns. Justin Fields finally looked like he could throw the ball, although I know they were facing Denver. But Cole Kmet, he's getting more looks than anybody on the Bears outside of DJ Moore. So I think that he's a great option. He's currently the tight end 4, and that's mostly after that's mostly after last week. I think that 25 points vaulted him into the top 5, but that's mostly where that's coming from. So we'll go Cole Kmet.
It doesn't take too much to be a top 5 tight end in fantasy.
No, it does not. All right. Fantasy point over under. Joe Burrow, 16 points versus the Cardinals.
Ooh. Oh my God, I want to say the over so bad because it's the Cardinals and it's Joe Burrow, and in any other season you would say the over and not even hesitate, but with the way that he's played lately, I think I have to say under until I see it. I don't think he's healthy. I think he needs to sit. I feel like I'm a broken record. I've said this probably the last 3 or 4 weeks on this show that Joe Burrow is not right and he needs to just sit and get healthy. And until I see that, I think I have to take the under.
Yeah, Joe Burrow has not gone over 16 once this season. He's had 15, 3, 8, and 4, which is just abysmal. I personally think that they should just, even if he's not hurt, they need to rest him right now because they're facing the Cardinals and they get the Seahawks the next week, and then they're on bye. I think that you honestly have a decent chance of beating the Cardinals with Jake Browning under center. But at this point, we agree that they should have sat him for the first couple weeks of the season anyway, because they're already 1-3 and he's still not healthy. So they kind of just shot themselves in the foot, literally. I'm going to take the under as well. I think it's got to happen at some point, but as long as he's not 100% healthy, I don't trust it. And honestly, Bengals might be on upset watch this week. The Cardinals have been playing up and the Bengals have been playing down. And I would not be surprised if the Bengals came away with the loss this week and everything gets blown up. Zach Taylor loses his job, a bunch of other stuff.
I mean, that may be my worst Super Bowl pick of all time. If that's the direction.
Right there with you.
Yeah.
All right. Devon Achane over under 14 points versus the Giants.
I'm taking the over. He's been awesome the last couple of weeks. Last week, he only had 8 carries and ended up with 27 points. The guy's just so explosive. And Raheem Mostert was super inefficient last week. I think that will sort of maybe it'll prompt Mike McDaniel to give Achane more snaps. And you're playing the Giants. So with a guy like Achane against that defense, all it takes is one big play, and he's a guy very capable of doing that. So I would say over.
Yeah, I think you got to start all your Dolphins this week. Raheem Mostert had 2 fumbles last week. He lost one of them, but 2 fumbles. And you're right, Achane, the fact that he had over 10 yards a carry for the second straight week is just unheard of. So I think this is a clear over for him versus the Giants. It's a soft matchup, so give me the over. All right, let's go Jahmyr Gibbs over under 12 points versus Carolina.
Under. I am all off of the Jahmyr Gibbs train. I am sick of it. And it's not Jahmyr Gibbs' fault. They just don't give him the football. It's never going to change. As long as David Montgomery is playing, Jahmyr Gibbs is the RB2 on his team. He's the DeAndre Swift last year, and he's going to go under every single week.
I think this is the week. I think this is the first week he goes over, and it's just because they're playing the Carolina Panthers. And I think you still got to start him. What are you going to do? Bench him? And at this point, I think the Lions are going to put up 35 points on the Panthers defense. And I really like Jahmyr Gibbs for the first time. David Montgomery's probably going to get the touchdowns, but I think this is the week that he gets involved a little bit more. We're officially a quarter way into the season, so time to fire him up.
It feels like this is the week every week. I just can't take it anymore. They're never going to give him the ball.
Yeah, it does feel like that every week, but I'm going to roll with it until it happens, and then I'll be right one of those times. All right, over under 13 points. Nico Collins at Atlanta, 13 points.
I think I'll take the over. He's been balling lately. He's been absolutely sick this year. He's been a must-start player in fantasy so far. And until I see otherwise, I mean, with the way Stroud is playing and the way that Nico himself has played and against, I mean, Atlanta's defense isn't the worst defense in the entire world, but it's definitely not the best. I think that's an easy over.
Yeah, I think the Falcons defense is actually very solid, but I'm going to take the over as well because he leads the league currently in yards after the catch. CJ Stroud's been looking great so far this season. And Nico Collins has been explosive. And I think when it's just 13 points is not that high of a number, I'm going to take the over.
Yeah.
Oh, and look at this. We have a new face joining us.
Look at that.
What's up, boys?
All right, Brian, you can let us finish the segment and you can hop in for the next one.
Cool.
All right. Over under 14 points. Chris Olave at New England.
I mean, with Gonzalez out for the year, I think it's an over. The cornerback room, they traded for J.C. Jackson, who I firmly believe is going to step in and be a top 3 corner in the NFL because it's the Patriots and that's what they do. But he probably won't be stepping in there this week. And you're down Christian Gonzalez. Probably a good matchup for Chris Olave. I'll take the over.
I'm going to take the under. I think I don't like starting receivers against the Patriots, and I think it's a bad matchup. And I don't know if J.C. Jackson's actually going to suit up by Sunday, but the fact that he got traded on a Tuesday morning gives me some hope that he'll suit up. And it's not like he has to, learn a whole new scheme and everything. He's very familiar with the team. He played there a season or two ago, so it's not a completely revamped defense. They play a lot of nickel and dime packages, so I'm looking forward to it this week to see just how the Patriots do. And me and Brian are going to have a little side bet going on. So we'll see how that game ends up. All right, Brian, welcome to the show. We're going to go talk about the hottest rookie quarterback so far. Maybe, arguably, CJ Stroud. You can make a case for Anthony Richardson, but are you starting CJ Stroud over Derek Carr?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, absolutely. CJ is a top 10. Derek Carr, until that offensive coordinator gets his stuff together, he and Matt Canada, you can't trust it.
Yep, I'm starting him over Derek Carr as well. Russell Wilson.
Russ has low-key been pretty good for fantasy this year, but I think I'm going to roll with Stroud until he cools off.
Yeah, Stroud's playing the Falcons. I'm rolling with that all day long.
Joshua Dobbs.
Yeah, he's been surprisingly solid and consistent this year, which is really weird to say. But I think I got to roll with Stroud. The upside's just way higher.
Yeah, I agree. Dobbs has been a lot more impressive than you would think, but come on. He's the most successful rookie quarterback in his first month ever, going with CJ.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs, if you take out his week 1 start, has been an absolute stud the last couple of weeks. So just putting that out there. All right, Dak Prescott.
Ooh. Dak has low-key been terrible this year. It's got to be Stroud.
Yeah, it's not getting better against the 49ers defense either, so Stroud.
Yeah,
it's going to be a rough one. Matthew Stafford.
I think Stafford's been great in real life, but maybe not as great in fantasy as he has been in real life. So I think it's Stroud. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I need to agree on that. I mean, Stroud, didn't trust him at all the first 2 weeks, but he's kind of proven that he can hang in that top 10 fantasy quarterback discussion. And I don't think that Stafford is quite there. He's a good bye week replacement, but go with CJ.
Hey, real quick, I want to give a shout out to Forever Playa for subscribing for 23 months in a row.
Woo!
That's longer than Jack's worked here. All right. That's pretty crazy.
That's right. Almost as long as Jack's been alive.
Yeah, almost.
Okay.
All right, let's go Brock Purdy.
Oh man, that's actually a decision I'm facing in real life this week is Purdy versus Stroud. But at this moment, I'm leaning Stroud based on the way that he's performed, and it's a difficult matchup for Purdy against the Cowboys defense, and that's probably what tips it over.
I disagree. I'm going Purdy. I know it's a tough matchup against the Cowboys, but he's just been so consistent, and he's got Christian McCaffrey to toss a few, touchdowns to. So I think I'm going Purdy, but I agree. It's super close.
All right. Sam Howell.
That's an easy Stroud for me.
Yeah, I think that one's not even a question. Although it's a Thursday night against the Bears. I think the Thursday night worries me with Howell. So I'll go Stroud anyway.
Say what you want. Sam Howell is a gunslinger and a playmaker. He doesn't look for the check down. He's going 40 yards to the house or nothing. So I think that.
And by the way,
fantasy.
We have a real chance to have just a disgusting uniform matchup Thursday night. The Commanders are wearing their all blacks. Yes.
Well, trust me, the uniforms will not be the only disgusting product on the field.
No doubt. No doubt.
All right, this is a touchy subject after last week. Daniel Jones.
Yeah, this is the easiest of CJ Strouds.
I don't know. I don't. It's not as easy for me. I will probably lean Stroud this week, but there's going to be matchups where Daniel Jones just the rushing yards just put him over.
By the way, Daniel Jones fantasy points this season 4, 33, 3, and 8. So you're not getting a whole lot of consistency there. His numbers will say he's averaging like 15. But, that's not.
It was
not
that one half, too, against the Cardinals because
it was the second half versus the Cardinals.
Yeah.
That's it. Outside of that, they haven't scored a touchdown in like eight quarters of football or something. It's pretty insane.
They've had the lead for literally like 14 seconds, and it was at the end of the Cardinals game.
Yeah. I don't think that they've scored a touchdown at home yet this season. All right, let's go Geno Smith.
I think the Seahawks are on a bye this week, so that would be
like going forward. Just going forward.
No, I know. But going forward, I think I would also say Stroud, just because Geno just isn't the most high upside fantasy quarterback, and if Stroud's playing the way that he is right now, I think it has to be him.
I don't know. I think I'm still riding with Geno, but it's right in that same top 10 realm, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like quarterbacks 10 through 13, somewhere up in there.
All right, Jordan Love.
It might be Jordan Love. He's been really, really good in both real life and fantasy. And I think his athletic upside is something that he gives you a little bit more of a leg over Stroud than that wasn't English, but he's a little bit more athletic than Stroud is. I think I would lean Love.
Yeah, Love last week had a game that was not memorable, but still eclipsed 20 points. So that's a pretty good consistency that he's got. I think this is matchup dependent for me. I think this week, the Packers go against the Raiders. I might take Love over Stroud, but the next week it might be different.
All right. What about Trevor Lawrence?
I am not benching Trevor Lawrence under any circumstances. He's been so good. His receivers have not helped him at all. But I think they have to pick it up. It's a good receiving core. There has been too many sloppy mistakes, and they will pick it up. And then Trevor Lawrence's number will pick it up. I can't bench T-Law.
I can't bench him yet, but I wouldn't say under any circumstance. I think we're leaning in a certain way. But I have a question, Jesse. Your team is the Bam Knight Rises, correct?
Correct.
Literally during this segment, you picked up CJ Stroud, and I just
hilarious. Yeah, did you get a notification or something?
Yeah, I did.
That's hilarious.
Well, I was thinking about it, and I had it up on my phone, just looking as who he ranks against, because I wanted to see. He's projected around the same points as Daniel Jones is this week, and then I thought, why am I starting Joe Burrow still? What has he done for me lately? So I figured, you know what? Jared Goff's not doing anything. I'll give him a drop, and CJ Stroud can get on the team.
Can I tell you
quality
move?
I
literally during this segment just added CJ Stroud as well, and in a different league. I had the same thought process.
Hey, multitasking at its finest.
Yep.
All right. Well, speaking of which, I literally just made this decision. Joe Burrow.
I mean, for this week, I think you have to go Stroud until Burrow proves that he's healthy and back to himself again. I mean, of course, Joe Burrow playing at the Joe Burrow level that we all know, you're starting Burrow, but he hasn't been that this year. So for now, it's got to be Stroud.
It's probably Stroud this week, but Joe Burrow has the easiest schedule left against fantasy quarterbacks and the easiest schedule the next 4 weeks against fantasy quarterbacks. So it would have been great could they have let him, rest and get better, but I think there's going to be a good horizon for him. So, but this week I'm going Stroud.
Yeah, I mean, after the bye week, they get San Francisco and Buffalo for the first 2 games right after the bye, which are not going to be easy matchups at all. But towards the end of the season, it opens up quite a bit. If you have Joe Burrow in your fantasy playoffs, you get Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Indy, Minnesota, Pittsburgh. So those are all pretty prime matchups right at the end there. We just got a question. Is Taylor Heineke going to play this week? I don't know. Nobody should. I said this last week. If Taylor Heineke played quarterback for the Falcons, they would win the division. And I'm firm on that.
Yeah, Thomas, if you had seen our show on Monday, that's exactly what we all said, that they win the division if they make the switch. As a Saints fan, I'm hoping they never make the switch.
I mean, they just have such a severe Desmond Ridder problem. I don't know why they're so committed to him. He was a 3rd-round pick. He was always a low upside guy, and he's come in and just been awful. So
Pitts isn't even their tight end one.
Brian, you missed it during the show. We did a mentor bench about Kyle Pitts, and I said start Jonnu Smith instead.
Exactly.
Seriously,
exactly.
That's the
he
point.
He had 20% of the target share last week. Jonnu Smith,
ridiculous,
unreal. All right, let's keep it moving. Justin Fields.
I hate Justin Fields, man. I'm staying away from him. I'm staying away from anything to do with the Bears. Give me Stroud.
No, I'm taking Fields on this one, especially this week. I know the front seven for Washington can be good, but I think there was a little step in the right direction, albeit against Denver last week for Fields. But I'm going to still ride with him this week. I'm actually choosing him over Purdy in one league.
Justin Fields has more turnovers in the last 6 minutes of the game than CJ Stroud has all year. So just putting that out there. But I think I would actually still lean Fields just because, say what you want, he had 35 fantasy points last week, and we're not talking real life here. I would, in a heartbeat, take CJ Stroud over him. But,
he's not. I mean, he's not playing the Broncos every week, though.
That is true.
Correct.
All right. Well, let's go last two here. Big Kirk Cousins.
I actually think it has to be Kirk. Kirk, he wasn't great last week, but before this past week, he's been awesome in fantasy this year. And I think I expect him to bounce back. I think the Vikings as a whole are going to bounce back as a team. And Kirk is going to be right at the helm of that. So I think you got to take Kirk.
It's got to be Kirk. Plus, they're playing the Chiefs this week. That could be a real interesting, high-scoring matchup. Go with Kirko.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins also has one of the best remaining schedules of any quarterback, and he's been on fire to start the year. Outside of week 4, he's been, I'd say, a top 5 fantasy quarterback almost every week. So with the upside, with Justin Jefferson, with KJ Osborne, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, their running game sucks as well. So they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. I'd probably go Kirk. Last one, CJ Stroud or Anthony Richardson?
It's AR for me because of the legs. AR's rushing upside is unbelievable, and it feels like he's getting a rushing touchdown every week at this point, and that's a quarterback that has got to be starting for you.
And let's be real, he had 2 passing touchdowns last week. Like he's
3.
I'm not faulting his.
Oh, he had 3. I thought he had 2.
Or maybe this is 3 total. Yeah, he had.
Yeah.
Right.
But and so he had one game where he had 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing, 1 with 2 rushing that he came out after the first half. He missed a game, and then I just think the passing has been a little more impressive, and he's got that AFC South, NFC South schedule. So roll with Richardson.
Yeah, I'm gonna cap it off and say Anthony Richardson as well, just because of the upside from the running game, but also if Jonathan Taylor comes back, like that's a big if because he might be practicing, but he still doesn't want to play for the Colts. If he does, that's only going to open the passing game more for Anthony Richardson, and the Colts have definitely overachieved a bit this year. So, all right, that concludes that segment. Let's read this comment real quick from Thomas. He says, I need to vent. Drafted number 2 overall, took Chase. Number 3 took CMC. Major buyer's remorse. Fast forward to last week, I faced number 3 and CMC drops 48, and you lose by 8. Thomas, I'm right there with you. I drafted Jamar Chase in 2 leagues, one of them number 2 overall, one of them number 3 overall. It hurts. Just know it's not your fault. There's nothing that you could have done to prevent this. Nobody could have known that the Bengals would be this god-awful. I was so excited on draft night that I got Jamar Chase. I thought that somebody else was going to take him, and now look at me. But it could always be worse. You could have got Austin Eckler. You could have had Nick Chubb. You could have had Saquon Barkley. At least Jamar Chase is on the field, right? Like if you look at, honestly, if you look at the first round of fantasy picks this year, most of them were bad picks, and it's not your fault. I mean, CMC has been good. Justin Jefferson's been good. Bijan's been good. Outside of that, I mean, Travis Kelce's been a letdown. I think, honestly, the people who are probably in first place in your league probably drafted between 10 and 12. I just think that that's where all those guys are going, and it sucks, but there's nothing you can do about it.
Look, you could always be me. I have a league with Eckler, Garrett Wilson, and Jonathan Taylor. You could always be me.
Yeah. You could have started the top 2, easily, taking Eckler or Nick Chubb, and then Garrett Wilson or whoever else at the turn, and just it's down bad, and there's nothing you can do about it. Maybe try to trade him if you still can. I personally am holding on to Jamar Chase for some hope that they turn it around, but it's tough. And there's a big CMC was a huge risk. He was either going to be the number 1 back in fantasy or get hurt, and so far he hasn't got hurt, and he's the number 1 player in fantasy. And the risk has paid off so far. We'll see if it lasts the whole season. All right, we're going to move on to another segment, keep or trade. So do you want to keep this player or do you want to trade them for the rest of the season, depending on where their value's at? So Keep or trade, Breece Hall.
I am keeping Breece Hall because right now I don't think he has any value, and it's not worth selling him for nothing. And I think he can only possibly go up from here as he gets more healthy. So I'm keeping Breece.
Breece Hall and Jahmyr Gibbs are like the same guy. You watch them with the ball in their hand and they look electric. And then their coaches are like, okay, that's enough of that. We'll send in the boring running back to get 3 touchdowns. So Breece Hall, they did come out today.
3 touchdowns.
No. That's a Lions comment. So, but they came out today and said that Breece Hall is off of his pitch count. Now, does that mean he actually gets 20 touches? We'll have to see. But I agree with Jack. If I have him, I'm holding him. If I don't have him, I might inquire about him and see if he's available.
Yeah, since he's off the pitch count, you just know that this week Michael Carter is getting minutes for some reason.
Exactly.
All right, keep or trade, Devon Achane.
I'm keeping him. I mean, I'm riding that wave until it comes crashing down because at this point, he is a bona fide RB1 through the last 2 weeks. So until he crashes, I'm going to keep riding him.
He's a top 5 running back, and he's only played the last 2 weeks. He was a healthy scratch in week 1. So, yeah, I only have him in one league, and that's because no one picked him up on waivers, and he was a free agent. So I just was like, I'll give it a shot, and I threw him in, and, of course, he scored up last week. I think the writing's on the wall for Mostert. I think it's going to be the Achane story going forward.
Real quick, let's answer this question from Brock. Worried about Cooper Kupp returning or how effective he'll be? I have Puka. Would you trade Kupp or Tutu for ETN and Tank? Ooh. I personally would say no. If you look at Travis Etienne's schedule, he has a horrible schedule coming up. He gets like 6 weeks in a row of really tough run defenses and a bye week in there as well. They face San Francisco, Indianapolis, lots of really tough matchups for him. And Tank Dell has looked good, but Nico Collins to me is still the number one there. And I think Cooper Kupp, now that he's healthy, should resume form. And I think I would personally keep him. And I would keep him and Puka. You could probably run both of them at receiver and flex weekend.
I don't know. If that's saying that you can trade Kupp or Tutu for that package, I think I would do it.
I think it might be both.
Oh, there's no way.
Does this guy have all 3 Rams receivers?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Tutu's been good this year. But I don't know. You probably have to trade. But yeah. I mean, Etienne's upcoming schedule is just rough. I would probably stay away from that.
And I don't think Etienne has been like super impressed, like where you have to have him. I think at this point, and look, I was not in on Puka even after week 1. I was wrong about that. I do not have him on any of my teams. I would try to trade him because I want Kupp because I just know the sparkle in Sean McVay's eye when he's on the field. And that's coming back pretty soon. Probably not this week, maybe next week. So I'm probably trying to trade Puka. If you can get him for ATN and Tank, great. If you look for other running backs, maybe.
Yeah, I was wrong about the Rams too. I thought that they were going to be horrible this year, but they're 2-2 with their best player coming back. And Matt Stafford, It looks like he's having a bit of a resurgence year. So good for the Rams. Let's move it on. Keep or trade, Aaron Jones.
I don't want anything to do with Aaron Jones. But at this exact moment in time, his value isn't very high because he hasn't been anything good since week 1. So I think I would probably maybe hold on to him until he has a big week and then try to get rid of him.
Yeah, that might be this week against the Raiders on Monday night. But
yeah,
I agree. I'm not this is not the Aaron Jones of 4 years ago, and I think that's what a lot of people have in their mind as far as what the potential is. And, he has flashes. So I agree with Jack. Let him have a big week, then sell him for something that you can use on your team.
Yeah, Aaron Jones, 25 points in week 1, missed weeks 2 and 3, and had 1 point in week 4. He was on a pitch count. I think that this is the week that he does really well, and then ship him off to Boston. All right, let's go. Keep or trade, DJ Moore.
I am selling DJ Moore so hard right now. I am selling DJ Moore to anyone who will take him from me because what I think the game that he had last week is the best game that he's going to have all season, maybe by 10 points. I don't trust Justin Fields to get him the ball. I don't trust anything going on with that offense. And but is sort of my strategy generally if I have a guy that I don't like, just wait for a big game and then sell. Last week was the DJ Moore game. I'm selling him right now.
I agree. There's nothing on this Bears offense I want. And when I say want, what I mean is if I have Fields, I'm not necessarily ready to get rid of him. Everybody else I'm shipping off. Cole Kmet is the one, like maybe, because the tight end market is so deplorable. But hopefully you have better options. So I'm all out on DJ Moore. They have ruined him in Chicago.
Yeah, and I heard the Panthers are looking for a wide receiver 1 this week, and
I thought that was hilarious. I was like, you had a
Kind
wide
of
receiver
ironic.
1. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
kind of
T.
ironic.
Higgins is a Carolina Panther. Watch it.
I mean, he's currently
Is he a
injured, but
Clemson
we'll
guy?
see. He
He
was.
was a Clemson guy. Yeah.
I don't know why that's relevant, but
Because they're in Carolina.
Carolina.
He's going to go home.
Well, I don't know geography. Come on. All right, keeper trade Calvin Ridley.
I'm keeping Ridley for now. I think he can only go up from here. It's been rough. Although week 2 and week 3 were really bad. Week 4 was a little better. I'm hoping he builds on that. He continues to get better, continues to develop his relationship with Trevor Lawrence. I'm gonna say keep for now and hope that it gets better.
We got some Miles Teller action in the chat, by the way.
Great comment.
Calvin Ridley is not at a point where you can trade him. Like his value is not that high, right? He is I guess technically a number 1 receiver on his team, but last week he had like 3 catches and one of them he was so open. I don't know how that happened, and he scored a touchdown on it. I don't think you can get rid of him. If you have him, you have to roll with it.
Yeah, outside of the blown coverage on the touchdown, he really had no action. And if Zay Jones is also coming back, who a lot of people will argue is the wide receiver 2, I personally still think it's Christian Kirk. But Christian Kirk had a lot of targets in that game and was looking pretty good. I think I'm going to keep Calvin Ridley for now because, like, what are you really going to trade him for? And just hope that he lives up to the value that he had in the preseason. And I still think that the Jaguars are a great team going forward, and Calvin Ridley should have big weeks like he did in week 1. It just wasn't last week. And don't discredit the Falcons defense. You know, they have Jesse Bates back there. They've got Jeff Okudah. So lots of good DBs back there. All right, last one. Keep or trade Deebo Samuel. And this is an easy one.
Yeah, I'm trading him if I can. He was horrible last week, but before that, he had 2 really good weeks back to back. But I'm a firm believer that he's the number 3 option in this offense. It's McCaffrey, Ayuk, and then him, in my opinion. And I'm hoping that I can sell high on what was the previous 2 weeks and just sort of disregard this past week as a fluke, and sell high on that.
I think he's one of those guys you got to wait for that next big week that he has and then think about it, because it probably won't be this week against the Cowboys. Because, you know, you want people to remember the Deebo of old and how great it was 2 years ago, even last year, when he was hitting. And, you know, if he's your wide receiver 1, you have issues. If he's your wide receiver 2 or 3, you're probably okay rolling with him.
All right, let's answer some questions here from the chat. First of all, I love the disagree with Miles Teller comment. That's hilarious. Steve Harvey, aren't you supposed to be hosting a show? Just said, how do you feel Saquon will perform this year? Will he go out injured early? Also repping the Bubba Tribe and the Xbox Series S from last year. Love y'all. Appreciate you. Glad that you're repping the Xbox from last year. So how do we feel about Saquon Barkley? Personally, things are not looking good for the G-Men. And I don't think that they're going to shut him down because he's only on a 1-year deal. Like it would just be a waste of money for them to do that. So you got to hope that he's going to come back and turn it around. He was close. He was a close decision to playing this past week. And I guess you got to hope that maybe by week 6 or 7, he's back in the lineup. And, you know, they're probably going to want to give him the ball because Daniel Jones has had no protection back there. And I don't think that he's going to live up to the 6th to 8th overall pick that you probably drafted him at, but he's still RB1 week in and week out with probably one of the highest ceilings of any running back in fantasy.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that I'm trying to sell right now. I think I'm pretty sure he's going to come back and play at some point, but obviously you can't be 100% sure. And I still think you can get some pretty good value from him at this point. But I'm just so concerned that he's going to come back week 6, week 7, maybe play a week or 2 and then get hurt again and be done for the year. So I think if you can sell him and you can get a piece that will help you win this year, I think it's worthwhile.
So if you're getting the Saquon Barkley that led the comeback against the Cardinals, because that second half against the Cardinals, he was awesome. He was, diving from the 5-yard line and barely touching the pylon, getting that touchdown. That's the Saquon Barkley you remember. So week 1, he had 51 yards rushing and 3 receptions for 12 yards, pretty mid. But then he had 17 for 63, a rushing touchdown, and 6 catches and another touchdown. I'm probably rolling with him. They did say he's going to practice today with the team, like not just individual drills. So I think there's a good chance he comes back this week against Miami.
Yeah, he is currently projected 12 points. In the 2 games he's played, week 1 versus Dallas was a rough showing, but then again, week 2 against Arizona, he had 2 touchdowns. So I think that you got to roll with Saquon Barkley because simply all of the other running backs suck. Like outside of Christian McCaffrey, I think every running back so far that's been drafted in like the first round, outside of CMC and Bijan, probably has just been awful or been hurt. And you're not going to have anybody with a better upside unless you got Tony Pollard in the 2nd or 3rd round. And I just think Saquon Barkley, he's a must start if he's healthy every week, no matter how bad the Giants are. So I think you got to roll with him. We got another question here. Do I drop AJ Dillon? 20-team league, and I have no depth. Best free agent is Cordero Patterson. I think personally, look, the Quad Father, member of the tribe, we love him, but I think I would hold on to AJ Dillon. I don't think he is as bad as he's been playing. Yes, like he's looked pretty slow, like really slow, not getting to the line of scrimmage very fast. And Green Bay got behind last week big, so they weren't going to be running the ball. I actually think if you need a sneaky play for this week versus the Raiders is not a bad shout. Then they go on bye and then they get Denver. So, I mean, I think AJ Dillon is okay to hold on to for now. If Aaron Jones goes down or for longer term, I know that he was down and AJ Dillon didn't really do much in the interim, but I still believe that AJ Dillon is a talented running back and that Green Bay is a good football team. So if you're in a 20-team league, no. I'd say if you're in a 10 or 12 league, probably you can drop him, but 20-team is crazy.
Yeah. I agree. I think in a regular 10 or 12-team league, I'm okay with dropping him. But in a 20-team league and your best replacement option is Cordero Patterson, it's not worth dropping him.
No, I agree. And look, if you look at his first 3 weeks, he had 13, 15, and 11 carries. That's a pretty good share, even with Aaron Jones being healthy. And if Aaron Jones goes out again, he's the guy. He's not catching a lot of passes, which is an issue, especially if you do PPR. But I agree. 20-team league, to have a second, running back on a team, you never know what that injury is going to do for you.
All right, we got another, 8-team league. Would you trade away Bijan and Pickens for Lamb and Gibbs? I'm 3-1. The running backs are Bijan, Saquon, Kyren, Pierce, Rashad White, Breece Hall, Zach Moss. 18 leagues are just ridiculous. And the wide receivers, Waddle, Pittman, Metcalf, Pickens, and Flowers. I would say Bijan is definitely the best running back you have. Lamb would probably immediately become your wide receiver 1. I would probably do it, honestly. I don't think George Pickens is worth anything. And Jahmyr Gibbs is kind of like a nice risky play that maybe later in the season he'll get better. But I think at that point, your lineup would be Saquon and Kyren as your running backs with either Pierce, White, Hall, or Moss as the other ones. And then you got Metcalf, Lamb, Waddle, Pittman. I think I would do it personally. What do you guys think?
I disagree. I am not trading Bijan. Bijan is so good. This guy, he feels like he's 20 points every week almost automatically. And I don't think he's scored a touchdown yet. I mean, like if he starts getting touchdown production, this guy's going to be unstoppable. I don't think that's a guy that you can trade at all. And CeeDee Lamb is obviously a great wide receiver. He'd probably be the best receiver on your team. I'm just not a big Gibbs guy. And from my perspective, I'm just really weighing would I rather have Bijan or CD. And for me, it's absolutely Bijan.
I don't know. I was going to agree with you, Jack. But then when I look at his team, if I can roll out Saquon and Kyren and maybe Pierce as a flex, and then I have Lamb, Metcalf, Waddle as my starting 3, that's pretty exciting. Atlanta could be in a lot of bad game scripts in the future. Of course, you don't know what Taylor Heineke could potentially do for Bijan, just having a quarterback that can actually complete a pass. So very interesting, but I think I do the trade. I think there's a chance Gibbs has a bigger role going forward at some point.
All right, we got another one here. Would you trade Cooper Kupp and Hunter Henry for TJ Hawkinson and Jalen Waddle or Amari Cooper? I have Puka, Keenan, Nico, and Thielen.
Man, I think I would do it. I think I would do it. I think Hawkinson is a really, really good tight end option in fantasy, and there's not very many of those. So getting that just gives you a big bonus. And I think Kupp, he's gonna come back. How is he going to be health wise? How is he going to be production wise? That's a little bit of a question mark, but he's probably going to be solid. But I think betting on Waddle's upside is a very solid bet. Yep. And that combined with getting Hawkinson, I think I would do that deal.
Absolutely, I would do that deal. Like Hawkinson, that's a huge upgrade at the tight end spot. And then I agree, you're buying Waddle super low, and that offense is not going to stop. He's going to have his opportunities. He's going to have a 3-touchdown game at some point. Stay as far away from Amari Cooper as you can.
Yeah, I think I would actually do it for Hawk and Waddle, considering Puka could go down, but TJ Hawkinson is a top 3 tight end for the rest of the season, no matter what. And he had a bad week this past week, so maybe if you can get him while his value is low. He had a very good first 3 weeks of the season. So I would say if you can, it's definitely an upgrade at tight end. And with Keenan, Nico, Thielen, Puka, if you can add Jalen Waddle to that, I don't think Waddle is a huge downgrade from Cooper Kupp. Like it's definitely a wide receiver 2 for a wide receiver 1, but Jalen Waddle has wide receiver 1 upside every week. So I personally want every piece of the Dolphins that I can get. So I would definitely go for that. All right.
Yeah. Chef, what do they call them? The greatest show on surf. That's what.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
This week.
All right. Would you trade in a PPR league Michael Pittman for Nico Collins straight up? The Anthony Richardson owner wants to swap for Pittman since he has Stroud.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I think Nico Collins has been really good this year. I think Pittman is probably the more reliable guy on a week-to-week basis. But if you want to swing for the fences and go for an upside hit, I would go. I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm going Nico. I trust his quarterback throwing the ball a little more anyway. I know we talked about A-Rich having doing a little better in the passing game, but I just love Nico Collins. And Pittman is a little bit of a lot of weeks.
Yeah, the first 3 weeks of the season, Michael Pittman was really solid. 8, 8, and 9 receptions in the first 3 weeks. 11, 12, and 11 targets in those games. Only had 1 catch versus the Rams, which is a down week for him, of course. But I think to me that's more of a fluke. Michael Pittman is definitely ranked higher, so I would say maybe it's tough because Michael Pittman's coming off of his worst game, and Nico Collins is coming off of his best game, 168 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I would do it personally. That way you have the stack, he has the stack, and you're kind of going all in and putting all of your eggs in the Texans basket. But if Stroud throws a touchdown to Pittman, if Stroud throws a touchdown to Nico, that's going to net you at least 10 points per touchdown. So I kind of like that. And Nico Collins currently leads the league in a bunch of things, like run after yards after the catch, yards over expected, whatever. Like he's been unbelievable. So I'd say if you're in a dire situation, you got to go boom or bust. I would do it. All right, choose 3 from Swift, Monty, Pittman, Nico Collins, and Devontae Smith.
Ooh. I think for me, which I'm gonna start sounding like Zach here, but I think it's DeAndre Swift, Nico Collins, and Devontae Smith. I think those are the 3 I would go with. We just talked about Nico, big high upside guy. I'm not benching Devontae Smith under any circumstance. He's a guy that can go off in any given week. And Swift has been really good this year. So I think if I'm picking between, I think Collins and Devontae Smith are my top 2. And then picking between Swift, Montgomery, and Pittman, I think Swift's week-to-week consistency has been the best this year.
Yeah, I agree. Devontae Smith's an absolute number 1 out of that group. Swift, close number 2. And then for me, it's between Montgomery and Nico. And I want to trust Montgomery. They play the Panthers this week. I want to say that that's the answer. But because he scored 3 last week, it's almost like tough to trust that. But I don't think you go bad either way. But I think I'm leaning Nico.
All righty. I would say you got to go Swift. Swift cannot be put on the bench until proven otherwise. I would say probably Nico for the upside and Devontae Smith. I think Monty is good and he's getting a lot of touchdowns, but I think to me, he has the lowest floor and ceiling out of everybody on this list. And then between Pittman and Nico, it's kind of a toss up there. I think you got to start Devontae Smith and Swift every week. And then to me, the third best here is Nico Collins.
Yeah.
Who the hell is Elijah Dotson?
I was about to say, who on earth is that?
I think he's the backup running back on the Chargers.
I was thinking Elijah Moore
or Jahan Dotson.
Jahan Dotson.
Jahan Dotson.
Considering I have no idea who that is, yes, you can drop him for CPAC.
Yeah, I think Cordell Patterson is interesting because if your league does kick return points as well, there's a chance that he takes one back to the house. But also he's just got a huge frame, and if he gets minutes, I know these are both third string running backs we're talking about here. And so 20 team leagues are crazy. I don't know if I could do it personally, but to me, it sounds like you're going to pick up like Zamir White or like Rico Dowdle or something like crazy. Deuce Vaughn.
Zamir White's got to be rostered. That's an RB2.
Yeah, you're right. My bad. He's been huge of 1, 4, and 3 carries in the 3 games he's played.
How long does a 20-team draft take? 4 or 5 hours?
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
By the last, Deuce Vaughn's a 5th-round pick.
Yeah.
You literally have to block off your whole day. That's like a full day activity.
If you have the first or the last pick, you could go 45 minutes without seeing it.
Oh my God, that would be under. Yeah, your first pick is CMC and your second pick is like Quez Watkins or something.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Is Burrow at a point where Dobbs or Howell and a first can snag him, or if the price tag is still too high? I wouldn't give up a 1st-round pick for Joe Burrow in any league. I mean, I guess if this is a dynasty league
Dynasty. I actually play in a dynasty league with Chef.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Well, Burrow just went for 3 seconds in my dynasty league. So that can give you a frame of reference for what his value is at right now, and I think that's a pretty good buy low.
3 second-round picks?
Yeah.
People are out here trading 27 picks in fantasy football.
My league only lets you go to 26.
Oh,
but yeah.
Wow.
I wouldn't trade for Dobbs. I wonder if he's talking about my league actually that we're in together. But I would say Howell and a first. I like the Burrow side.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not in these deep dynasty crazy leagues.
I just don't know what the future is for Howell. It's tough.
We have one more activity planned for today. So let's get straight to it. Let's play today's NFL grid. So let's do it. We'll make this a little bigger for the fans at home. All right, let's do it. So let's play today's NFL grid. We'll start it off with, what are we starting off? Colts Super Bowl champ.
Are we trying for an obscure? Are we trying for the obscurity score?
Okay.
I wonder if they had to have won on the Colts or if it's just anybody. I would assume it's that they won on the Colts.
Yeah.
The Colts won Super Bowl 5. I was not alive.
Do you know anybody from Super Bowl 5?
was
But
Johnny Unitas the quarterback?
Craig. I want to say it was Craig Morton, but
that sounds right. I think we're probably safer to go with the Peyton Manning Super Bowl team. Someone from there.
So who's the most obscure?
Did Joseph Adai was he on the team there?
Joseph Adai was on the team when they played the Saints in the Super Bowl. Was it not Edgerrin James?
I was gonna say. Joseph Adai could have theoretically been a backup on that team, but I don't know.
Who did you say? Morton? Craig Morton?
Craig Morton. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's a bad.
He was on the team from 65 to 82.
So Super Bowl 5 would have been like 72.
He wasn't only a Colt though. I know. He started in a Super Bowl for another team too. I can't remember what team it was. Maybe the Broncos.
I think that the people who play this game are probably younger, so I feel like this is probably a good bet.
Yeah, I think that's a good. If we're confident that he was the quarterback, it's a good guess.
Oh, it was not right.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Enough.
Sorry.
Yeah, we got too cute.
All right, we can go Edgerrin James.
Yeah,
that's not right.
No, what? Oh my God! Just take Peyton Manning.
We're going Joseph Adai. 3%.
No way.
How is he so low? Wow. So Adai was on that Super Bowl team then.
I guess he was.
I guess so. Yeah.
So James was already done. Oh, we suck.
Yeah, that was bad.
All right.
right,
I mean, I have a Colts Bills. Frank Gore.
What about who is the dude who retired mid game?
Oh,
Vontae
Vontae
Davis.
Davis. Vontae Davis.
He was a Colt and a Bill, right?
Yeah, he was. That might be more obscure than Frank Gore.
Right,
Yeah.
Vontae Mack. Nice. 8%.
Yeah.
32 team. Someone's talking about a 32 team league. That's crazy.
absurd.
that now you can know how like a real NFL GM feels.
Yeah, literally.
Colts, Lions. I don't know if there's anything that interesting there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nothing's popping into my head right away.
Colts,
From a Steelers fan, Colts Lions is easy.
So does that mean I should know that?
He said tight end. Oh, Eric Ebron.
Oh yeah, Ebron. Good call. Good
call. Oh wow, he's the most popular one. Damn.
Yeah.
All right. What about the Hall of Fame one? Feels like there's a lot of names that you could put up here.
I mean, yeah.
You got to go like a position that's obscure. Like Ricky Jackson was a linebacker for the Saints forever and then played on a 49ers Super Bowl team and won. As an example of a random.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God. 0.03%.
Boom.
That's a crazy poll.
That's unbelievable.
That makes up for the Craig Morton mistake, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Well, we only have 3 guesses left, so we should decide which squares we want to fill here.
I mean, I think the Hall of Fame ones will be the easiest ones to get rare players.
Yeah, I mean, you have all those Bills from the 90s.
Yeah, like Chiefs Bills. Yeah. I think the most popular one's probably going to be Sammy Watkins for Chiefs Bills.
LaShawn McCoy.
LaShawn McCoy is in there.
Did Chase Daniel ever play for the Bills?
I feel like no.
He played Saints. He played Chiefs.
Did EJ Manuel make the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, Chase Daniel, Hall of Fame. He is a Hall of Fame guy. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What about?
I mean, for the Chiefs Super Bowl champion, we can just get a low score by guessing like Justin Watson or something. Like I don't know, just someone really obscure on the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Oh, for Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally just
I was trying to think of
the random guy on the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You could take like.
Was like Britton Colquitt the punter?
Yeah, I was gonna say we're like Byron Pringle or like.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Or you got Damian Williams. You got
backup tight ends. You know.
Yeah, did Noah Gray win a Super Bowl?
Darwin Thompson.
Who was the guy that was the number 1 overall pick? The left tackle. Eric somebody, the left tackle.
Eric Fisher.
Yeah.
That's a big name though.
Yeah.
I like Darwin Thompson.
Are we sure he was on the Super Bowl team?
He played 19 to 20.
Yeah, they won in 20.
They won in
20.
They won the 19 season. Because the COVID year is when the Bucks.
Let's run it.
Woo!
0.03 as well. We might be the only one to put him.
Oh my God.
All right, 2 guesses left. What's the Lions? How many Hall of Famers do the Lions even have? Like Barry and Megatron?
Is Megatron in already?
How
I
about
think he just got in.
Yeah. Night Train Lane.
He was a Ram, I think, huh?
Wasn't he a Lion too?
No, I think you're right. I think you're right.
He was a Lion at some point.
Herman Moore.
Was he a Hall of Famer?
He was pretty good from what I know.
Yeah, no. He was good, but I don't think he's Hall of Fame good.
No? Okay.
I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know.
Someone in the chat just asked, trade Justin Fields and Christian Watson for Lamar Jackson. Absolutely.
Oh
Yeah, if you have the receiver depth to handle that, I'm doing it.
yeah. Stop watching this and run.
Yeah, close the app
yeah.
and go off for the trade.
Literally.
Bills Hall of Famers. I'm thinking Bruce Smith, Andre Reed. Obviously, you have Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas are two famous. OJ.
I mean, I would say Bruce Smith. Is
OJ Simpson, if you want to get dark, as far as his post career.
Is OJ still in the Hall of Fame, or did they throw him out?
No. NFL respects what you did on the field separately from what you did off the field.
Is Marshawn Lynch in the Hall of Fame yet?
No.
That
would be the all-time, like, let's go make some content.
I forgot that he had a weird stint on the Raiders to end his career.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Like
That's
in the middle of the year, a year after he had retired.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, what's the most obscure of the Bills Hall of Famers? Like, is it? Honestly, I think it might be Thurman Thomas, maybe.
I was thinking more like Bruce Smith, or I don't know if Darryl Talley made the Hall of Fame. I was thinking defense.
I think Bruce Smith is a bigger name than Thurman Thomas.
Yeah.
Let's run Thurman. 11%, not bad.
Okay.
All right, who do we want our last square to go to?
I mean, we could do like Shady McCoy or Sammy Watkins.
I'm sure those are both going to be really big.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
got to be someone more random.
Trying to think of like weird receivers on like
That's where I was thinking too.
Thinking like
receivers or running backs.
Yeah, like they've had who have the Bills had at running back the last
the Lions.
Like they had CJ Spiller, they had Singletary.
I mean, the Chiefs haven't even cared about running back. They've had so many.
Yeah, was Jeremy Maclin like a Bill for a second or something? Or
that doesn't sound that far fetched, but I'm not sure.
I don't think he was. I'm positive that Sammy Watkins is going to be like 65% on that block.
Yeah, and I think Shady McCoy will be pretty high too. Is there like a backup quarterback that bounced between those teams? Like,
what about
David Blau?
I guess Fitzpatrick never played for the Chiefs.
No,
David Blau, great Hard Knocks character, by the way.
Yeah,
he was.
Was Fitzpatrick? He wasn't on the Lions either. No.
Yeah,
no.
This might be the Can you name the teams he wasn't on?
Yeah.
Right.
Lions Hall of Famer. Why don't we run Herman Moore and see how it goes?
Yeah, he may not be a Hall of Famer, but he was pretty good.
He was not a Hall of Famer.
Nope. All right.
Barry Sanders.
Yeah. Barry would have been the easy.
Oh, Zach Moss was on the Bills. True.
Okay.
Jim Kelly, number 1. Matt Castle. All right.
Lions. I told you he was a backup quarterback.
Well, we have another one. So let's
I'll
get this ad.
Let's not suck that much on this one.
So many ads on this one.
What is that at the bottom? 80 plus receptions?
80 receptions in a season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. For the Cardinals, 80 receptions in a season.
Ooh. Well, you got.
I don't think D-Hop did it.
Fitzgerald definitely did it. Trying to think in my childhood who their receivers were. They were pretty irrelevant.
Did AJ Green get 80 receptions a year or two ago?
That seems like a lot.
Not like on the Cardinals though.
No. I feel like he might have had like 60 or something, probably not 80.
Otis Anderson was a running back, ended up winning the Super Bowl MVP with the Giants. I don't know. They probably weren't throwing as much back then.
What about like John Brown?
What about LeGarrette Blount for Eagles played in 2+ Super Bowls?
Ooh. Did he?
Did he play for the
Eagles? It wasn't 2 for the Eagles, but he's played in 2+ Super Bowls and he's played for the Eagles.
Yeah, he played in like 3 Super Bowls in a row around that time.
Right.
Yeah, if you had to have played both with that team, you'd have to have somebody that played last year.
But like, is that what it is? I don't know.
I don't know.
Because if that's the case, the only options you're going to have are like people on the O line and like, yeah, because only like Jason Kelsey and I feel like
Mhm.
a
What
few
about
other guys there.
Oh no, he wasn't on the team last year. What about the kicker? Was the kicker different? Was it Akers the first Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was
Ertz.
different.
Ertz is a
Zach
good.
Ertz is an easy one for this
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah, for
but
Cardinals, Eagles.
that's going to be a pretty
Everyone's
popular
gonna
one.
have that. I mean, Eagles Vikings is Jalen Reagor.
Oh, I was about to say, what is Zach's favorite Eagle ever? And it's Jalen Reagor.
All right, let's run Jalen Reagor. 41%.
Yeah.
Chiefs Cardinals, probably the most popular is going to be Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single Cardinal that's had that many receptions in a season. I don't think John Brown ever did it.
Anquan Bolden.
No, I mean, Larry Fitz.
Well, outside of Larry Fitz.
Anquan Bolden. That's the answer.
Yeah, that's possible.
But 19%. All right. Vikings 80 receptions in a season.
That's
we could go Jefferson. Adam Thielen. We could go Stephon Diggs.
Randy Moss, Chris Carter,
yeah.
Anthony.
I think the most popular is going to be Moss, Jefferson, and then probably Diggs or Chris Carter.
I actually think Thielen is a good one.
Yeah, let's run Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
They don't even have his picture.
That's so disrespectful.
Because he's in Carolina now. Nobody cares.
So let's do Chiefs played in 2 Super Bowls will be easy.
Harrison Butker.
I actually like that. Let's run Butker.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
6%, beautiful.
Solid.
80 receptions in a season and played in 2. That's a wide open one. There's a lot of options.
Yeah, but I always struggle with those for some reason.
What if we did like Gronk?
Or you could go old school. The second receiver for the Steelers teams in the 70s.
John Stallworth. Right? Yeah.
I thought you were going to say
someone. Would he have had 80 plus?
I don't know. I don't think Terry Bradshaw was as prolific a passer as we like to look back and think about. But
did Hines Ward make 2 Super Bowls?
He made Super Bowl 40. Was he on Super Bowl 43? That's the question.
Yeah, he would.
I think he won a ring with the Steelers. He was Super Bowl MVP.
He was the MVP of 40, Super Bowl 40.
That was the one against the Seahawks.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he was on the one when we beat the Cardinals. I think. I'm pretty sure.
Let's run Hines Ward. Nice, 3%.
Yeah, solid.
What about what's Chiefs Vikings is a weird one.
Yeah,
that is really weird.
I don't think anybody on the Vikings now.
Jerick McKinnon.
Oh, you're right. He was.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be a popular one though.
It might be.
I don't know.
It's the only one we have right now. So
yeah,
we can put that in the back pocket for a sec. I feel like a lot of people
unless Chase Daniel played for the Vikings.
Did Chase Daniel play for the Cardinals though?
Did Chad Henne play anywhere else?
Oh, I forgot about Chad Henne, Michigan's own.
He played in like Jacksonville and Miami, I think, but not either of those places.
Oh, wait, this guy just said in the chat, if C. Watt and Fields for Lamar falls through, what are we thinking about Fields and him for Purdy and Debo? No way. I'm staying away from that.
Yeah.
I agree.
I wouldn't do that.
All right. What about, let's think back to Chiefs. The John Brown was never a Chief, right?
No.
He was on the Bills. Were any of the guys like Demarcus Robinson? Where does Demarcus Robinson play now?
The Raiders?
Yeah, he's on the Raiders now, I think. Oh, no, he's on the Ravens now. Yeah.
I think he's played for both of those teams, but not the Cardinals.
Boy, Chiefs is tough.
Who is the Eagles punter? And did he play in 2 Super Bowls for them?
Is it?
We really need
What's
Zach
the
at a
guy?
moment like this.
Yeah, we do. We do. And he could definitely get.
I'm interested to try LeGarrette Blount just because I want to see if
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's true. I just
Let's run
don't
it.
know if they had to beat the Eagles.
At least we'll know the rules now.
5%.
Yeah, there you go.
There we
That's
go.
it. All right.
All right.
Eagles, Cardinals too. Eagles, Cardinals. Outside of Zach Ertz.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure
There's
this is compelling.
Hey,
Watch.
Very.
I'm sure.
No help from the chat, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Well, he said Zach
Where's our
Ertz, so
help?
that's it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
What about here we go. I got Vikings.
What about Josh McCown?
Oh no, that's Vikings.
Was Josh McCown an Eagle and a Cardinal?
Who?
Josh McCown.
He was definitely an Eagle. I don't know about Viking.
There's also
No,
Luke
Eagle
McCown.
Cardinal.
Oh,
so,
Eagle Cardinal. Oh, yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
Let's run Josh McCown. Boom. Nice one.
Solid.
All right. Eagles, Cardinal. Or no, Cardinals, Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
Outside of Tyrann Mathieu, I'm not sure how many there even are.
Yeah.
Patrick Peterson never played for the Chiefs.
No.
No.
He's on the Vikings, though.
I know. I had Vikings
No,
Cardinals
he's on
there.
the Steelers now. But,
Yeah.
Um.
Was like Xavier Rhodes play anywhere?
It says Matt Barkley,
Not the Chiefs.
Matt Barkley? For which?
and
Matt-
it's in the chat.
I don't think Matt Barkley was a Chief.
Was Josh Dobbs ever a Chief?
No. Yeah, Barkley was definitely a Cardinal.
What
I don't think he was
about
a Chief.
this? No, Josh Rosen was never anywhere.
Oh, Barkley would have been an Eagle Cardinal.
Hmm.
That might have been what he was talking about.
Oh, right. Yeah, he just said
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
All right, Vikings Chiefs.
All right, we can run Jerick McKinnon for this.
Yeah, I don't know that we're doing better than McKinnon there.
At 29. It's all right. Oh my God, this guy said, "Hey, should I trade away T. Higgins for someone like James Cook or Robinson?" I'm assuming that's Brian Robinson. I only have Chase, Ayuk, Tank Dell, Palmer. Running backs are Najee, Pierce, McLaughlin, Ford. I think you should throw in the towel, man.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's a rough. Do you have like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce as your other guys? Because
I don't mind trading for James Cook.
yeah,
I
or
agree.
Brian
I think it's
Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, I think trading for James Cook is a decent idea.
I think you should focus on.
You know, the
fantasy
good news
basketball.
is fantasy basketball is right around the
Yeah.
corner.
Oh, Blaine Gabbert. Was Blaine Gabbert on these teams?
Was he a Cardinal?
Sounds right. Let's run it.
Was he a Chief?
Who's not?
No, he's on the Chiefs right now.
Oh, is he?
Tyrann Mathieu, 75%.
Yeah. I mean, Tyrann Mathieu was definitely the guy, but we got greedy.
All right. Well, that's all for today. Appreciate everybody in the chat. We had a great show today. Lots of questions in the chat. Lots of YouTube love today, which is nice to see. So keep them coming. We'll be back on Monday. We'll also be streaming on TikTok live a few more times in the week. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us if you've been here, and we'll see you all next week. So peace out.
Diggy on the track, boy.